Welcome to our panel, From Campus to Corner Office, Disrupting the Leadership Journey in the New World. I'm Priyanka Ratana, producer of this panel. In a world shaped by data and technology, leadership takes on a new dimension, one that is brimming with action, excitement, and challenges. The time-honored strategies of leadership are undergoing a transformation, demanding that corporate leaders and new CEOs make bold decisions and lead with fresh perspectives. Join us as we delve into a discussion with these IIT women leaders who are not just adapting, but disrupting the norm, employing innovative, tech-driven, and human-centered approaches to redefine success in this dynamic era. Now I would like to introduce our moderator, Smita Bagla. Smita, Managing Director of Aligned Strategy, brings a wealth of expertise as a leader in product strategy and operational excellence, an entrepreneur with notable exits in the medical software and innovation game product industries. She has traversed both corporate executive and fractional COO roles. Smita is an alumni from 2 IITs and a passionate pan-IIT community leader in Southern California. She is active in startup community as an angel investor and mentor. As a fun fact about her, she recently made her mark in the world of film as a co-executive producer of 4 Samosas, an award-winning feature released in 2022. So if you guys are interested in watching, it's available on Apple TV and Hulu. Welcome, Smita.
Thank you, Priyanka. I'll give you the Venmo later for the Hulu advertisement. Thank you. So welcome, everyone. Thanks for being here and to be part of our leadership panel and discussion here. So I am thrilled to be part of our, can you guys hear me? Okay. I'm thrilled to be bringing our women leaders here to hear from them how they have navigated from our wonderful, nerdy IIT campuses to being supreme leaders, that's how each one of them are, into this world in the US. So COVID-19 was a black swan that encompassed, that tested our resilient leadership. It was a time when nothing worked, nothing in leadership worked. We had to make decisions. Leaders had to think quickly on their feet. They had to be agile. They had to come up with new strategies. And they had to leverage technology to make business decisions. So now, these days, in a world, as we return to normality, one second, I'm not sure if you can hear me, so, hello, can you hear me? Oh, yeah, okay. So as we return to normality these days, now we are faced with it. Are we going to forget what we learned during COVID-19? Are we going to take those policies go forward? And how we could still be agile, still be quick to think, come up with the new strategies, as well as leverage technology, data, and processes that we have developed, and be a little bit smarter in this competitive world. So as I introduce these leaders, I would love to hear from them. So first of all here is my friend Surbhi Kaul from one of my IITs, IIT Kanpur. And she's a fun person and a great leader. She navigated through IIT Kanpur's first-year hazing by breaking into a melodious song anytime anybody asked her to sing. So she is the Global VP of Product Management and Customer Experience at Juniper Networks. She's a product strategy and business leader in Silicon Valley for the last 2 decades and has held executive roles in Fortune 100 companies such as YouTube, Netflix, and Juniper Networks. And she's also passionate about teaching and is an adjunct professor at UCLA's Anderson School of Management. So,
thank you.
Surbhi here.
Thank you very much, Smita. And I appreciate the warm welcome from the friends and family panel here. I appreciate all of you being here. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have a wonderful physics major from IIT Delhi. And she's an entrepreneur whose company, Kvantum, with a K, got acquired by Yum a couple of years ago. It's very interesting. She survived 8 years with her co-founder being her husband. Gunjan and I can attest that it was fraught with wonderful disagreements, no, agreements between us when we ran our company and sold it. But Shilpi, hats off to you. 8 years of wonderful collaborative success with her husband, and she's now the Chief Strategy Officer at the Yum Brands and heads up their data science division. Welcome, Shilpi.
Thank you. Thanks, Smita, and thank you, everyone. I see some of my dance buddies from last night, so I think it worked out.
And next we have Dr. Sarbari Gupta. She is from IIT Kharagpur. Well, another IIT with a K, right? But the greatest IIT from what everybody will say now. And she's the founder and CEO of Electrosoft, which is a provider of technology-based services and solutions with a special focus in cybersecurity. And she has held 4 patents in cryptography. She has a PhD, MS, and BTech in electrical engineering. She's a really serious engineer, but she's as passionate about music. And it was interesting to note that when she was at IIT Kharagpur, one of her seniors at SN Hall, the girls' hall, asked her to drum at the concert, and she had no idea about drumming. So she, as being the 10-pointer she was, so she braced through learning drums in 2 months and performed at 2 concerts. Wow, Surbhi.
Yeah, happy to be here. And yes, for IIT KGP, tempo is high because yesterday evening we had the campus get-togethers, and I think our campus get-together was the largest. So thank you, and lots of friends and family. So thank you for being here.
And we have, thank you, Surbhi. And we have Gitanjali Swamy. She is a perfect polymath. She is an experimenter, loves doing many things, and is good at everything. And she believes that it's always possible to do both good and make money at the same time. And in any industry, her current passion is ClimateAI, an investment vehicle and studio focused on the intersection of AI and climate to continue planet-scale climate impacts with great financial returns. She's also the senior legislative and policy advisor at Massachusetts State Senate. And because she's a polymath and she can do anything, she proved it at IIT Kanpur by being one of the first women at the first fashion show at IIT Kalset.
The things we do for friends, right?
So I would like to ask and get insights from these wonderful leaders as to how they navigate data and technology, as well as how they navigate leadership through that. So are you guys ready for my first question?
Sure.
So the way we'll go, right? Okay. So my first question for you is, today, because we have access for all kind of data and technology that enables everyone to sound like an expert, how many of you have used Gen AI and ChatGPT to produce like simple things to big things and, and appear as an expert, right? So innovation and disruption from small companies, they are not new, but they challenge all the big companies also. So amongst us here, we have entrepreneurs as well as corporate leaders. So my first question is that, because how have you adapted your leadership in this new world, new normal, and what has been your strategy to remain one ahead of the competition? So Surbhi, first you. If you could answer that.
Thank you, Smita. So I think with all the things you're talking about, data, Gen AI, all these changing trends, I think of leadership as very simply serving 3 sets of cohorts that I engage with on a regular basis. First is my business leaders, shareholders who are nudging all the business metrics that I have to drive. The second, yes, that was a good good point made for the business leaders. The second set of stakeholders that I have to worry about or work with is the customers. And that's where I'm getting nudged to ensure that there's innovation in products, that any new trend, whether it's Gen AI, quantum computing, everything is being brought into products to bring them efficiency and ROIs. And the third and very important set of stakeholders that I focus on is my teams, our employees. And as a leader, you have to think of how to manage and support the needs of these three cohorts. And no matter what the changing dynamics of the microeconomics or the technology trends, I think there are few key aspects of leadership that help me along the way, no matter what I'm doing, what role or what industry, and I'll just quickly talk about those. I think the first important thing is having a growth mindset. And that's not just for leaders, employees. As we are seeing, we have to reskill our sets with Gen AI and advent of new technology. As leaders also, we have to continuously think about how to improve the way we engage, the way we lead, the way we build products. So that would be the one thing I would call out, is having a growth mindset. The second thing is being strategic in our decision making. We have to think of long term, what is the impact going to be? And I see a lot of leaders being really, whether it's politics or business, really focused on short-term goals, and that's not good. It's extremely important to have long-term strategic thinking for the employees, for your business, and then having the ability to corral everybody to work towards that. And the third point I would make, which, I mean, we could spend the whole time, is how to be an authentic leader. I think that's extremely important, that we as leaders are very authentic in how we lead. And we could spend a long time, maybe post this meeting after lunch. At lunch, we can talk about that. But yeah, those are the, I would say, foundational skills that I have used as a leader to be successful. Thank you.
Thanks, Surbhi. And Shilpi, as an entrepreneur, and then who joined Yum, now is leading a CSO there. How have you navigated both through the corporate as well as the entrepreneurship arena? How's the leadership strategy?
Sure, yeah. So in terms of leadership and data and the technology that you were talking about, that how we have been disrupted in the last few years, and especially last 10 months, my take is that as a leader at the large org, you get disrupted at two steps. One is obviously the business that you're leading is being disrupted, and then you yourself as a leader being disrupted. So if you talk about as an organization, just to give you context, the Yum Brands is a $50 billion company, 4 iconic brands, Pizza Hut, Taco Bell, KFC, Habit Grill, 55,000 restaurants, around 156 countries. So, when you think about such a large organization, every part of our business is being disrupted. Not every day, but at least pretty frequently. Back of house, how our kitchen are managed, how the food is being created, what should be food on the menu, how our customers are behaving, their consumer behavior is changing, the technology is disrupting everything. So when we think of disruption, as a company, I think what we keep in mind, that what is our core capability, and that capability, to preserve that, what do we have to do? And for that, either we are building and maintaining what we have built, or we are acquiring new companies and technologies. And when it comes to self-disruption as a leader, I feel like, what Surbhi mentioned, growth mindset is very important for a leader as well. What you learned, where did you go to school, what degree was it, doesn't matter at all today. I think you have to just look at yourself and see, can you contribute with your current skill set in next 5 years? Can you lead the new workforce? Are you ready for it? So, you have to disrupt yourself. And whether it's not about degree and education, it's about meeting people who don't know what you do, or meeting people you don't know what they do. I think that there's a lot that we can learn by meeting people who we don't know. So there's a lot of disruption you can do for yourself.
Thank you, Surbhi. And Shilpi, all the S's here. Smita, Surbhi, Shilpi, Sarbari.
Smita, I can tell Surbhi is your favorite.
I solved the problem by being a Swamy.
Thank you. So, sorry. Thanks, Shilpi. And so, Sarbari, the same question to you, if you don't mind answering. So, data and technology, and how has been your leadership strategy based?
Okay, so those are two. Okay, so let me talk about data and technology first. So I run a technology services company. We do federal government contracting. We're in the DC area, so that makes a lot of sense. And we focus on cybersecurity. That's what we specialize in. And so in terms of how to leverage data and technology for our business, so one of the, I guess, transformations we had to go through was during the COVID timeframe. So before COVID, we were mostly a hybrid environment, meaning we had some of our servers and IT equipment in our office, and some was in the cloud. Some of the services were in the cloud. But through COVID, we realized that people aren't going to come back to the office, right? So we had to make a big shift to move everything to the cloud. And so as a technology company anyway, I mean, that made a lot of sense. Now we can work from anywhere, anytime, and there's no problem, But I guess this whole conference, a big theme has been AI. And so I guess when we were preparing for this panel, we were discussing, okay, how does AI factor into the business? And for us specifically, serving federal government agencies, AI is, we talk about it all the time, but are we seeing it in the work that we do yet? Not quite, But where we are leveraging AI is, like in the cybersecurity realm, there's a lot of products that we use to implement the security controls for our customers. And so many of those products have embedded AI capabilities in them. But aside from that, for our company, we've been looking at AI techniques to sort of improve our corporate, like processes. So one of the things is we are actually implementing a project where we are building an AI-based knowledge management tool so that, it's like a chat interface. You can figure out, we've been around for over 20 years, so a lot of work we've done in the past. So any employee in the company, they can figure out, okay, they can ask the chatbot, I guess, chat, that, where have we done this kind of work before? How did we do it, et cetera. That's a nice tool to have. And also, again, as a federal government contractor, we spend hundreds of thousands of dollars writing proposals for government. And so we are experimenting with the Azure OpenAI-based platform to see if we can get a first draft of our proposals through the AI system rather than having to write it from scratch. So,
love it, love it. Leverage ChatGPT to do your tedious work. Thank you, Sarbari. And Gitanjali, same thing for you as to how you're leveraging that in your area with climate and...
So I'm going to take a slightly different thing and use one phrase here. Clarity of purpose. And this is important because I think, in order, technology, money, all of these are tools that help us achieve our purpose. And so the important thing to understand, and I'm going to define success as Aristotle did, is success is being the best, living the good life, being the best human being you can be under the circumstances. And in order to do that, you need actually three things, and I call them the 3 Ps. The first is purpose. The second is pleasure, as in enjoying what you do. And the third is an understanding of position, current and future. And I think that's what you have to start with before you start to dive into technologies or resources or all the other things that we get distracted with, which are actually not the purpose of life. And many of them have limitations. Money, for instance, and as an example, is broken. I mean, I'm going to quote Samuelson on this, and what Samuelson told Kuznets was he said, okay, to understand, how broken money and GDP is when a man marries his maid, the GDP of the country falls. I think as engineers, we understand the importance of limitations of models. So connecting this all back, when you see this huge deluge of different technologies coming in, you've got to put it in perspective and say, how does it fit in how I'm going to realize my purpose? And then everything falls into place.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, when somebody marries, like in the yesteryear especially, a woman, they didn't pay them to do the work. and now we do pay. So thank you. So interesting, the things that reverberated throughout were the growth mindset, authentic leadership, leveraging ChatGPT to do the tedious work, and money is broken. and clarity of purpose that we have to do. So my second question, and this one, and if you don't mind, Sarbari, I would like to ask you, you ran the same company for the last 20 years. As an entrepreneur, you started, and then now you have people in a lot of different states, and you have a really large company. So at this time, how have you seen the culture of your company change, and then how did you have to modify based on, so we talked about the technology leveraging and on the processes, but how's the people part of that changed? Would you like to expand on that a little bit?
Sure. People part or culture, I mean, I guess that's probably, to me, the most important attribute of a company, the culture of the company, you know. And I think it was Peter Drucker or somebody that had a quote that culture eats strategy for breakfast, meaning you can have all the best strategies, but if your company culture isn't up to par, you know, you're not going to get too far with it. So culture, so I guess you talked about my 20-plus year journey as an entrepreneur and then a business owner. Let me see. So in the beginning, when I was hiring my first few employees, of course, you know, the role of leadership is to inspire and motivate, I think, you know. It's to inspire people and to motivate them to do what's good for the organization or for the customers or for their own professional growth as well, of course. But initially, the culture was based on, you know, my day-to-day interactions with our small team. You know, each employee I hired in the beginning, I had to convince them to join my fledgling company and to support the mission of the customer. You know, we're, again, federal government contractors. So we get a lot of interesting projects from the federal government that we have to then execute on. So it was a lot of convincing and shoulder-to-shoulder work, you know. I'm an engineer, I'm a hands-on person, so if they got stuck on something, you know, I would be kind of helping them in the trenches, you know, shoulder-to-shoulder, solving the problem with them to the best of my ability. But then as the company grew, of course, you know, I couldn't touch every single person that we, you know, hire and wherever they're working. I mean, we have people nationwide. So now I think the culture, you know, again, I'm the chief culture officer, if I may call it, you know, culture flows from the top, right? So one of the things I do a lot is to kind of focus on our core values. You know, we have 5 core values. The top 3 are integrity, that's the most important core value. Then customer service, as a service company, we're not a product company. And then excellence, you know, in the kinds of products and work, how we show up, how we perform, et cetera, right? So that's the top 3 core values. So I take a moment to emphasize the core values at every team meeting we have, all hands we have. And then, you know, my job now is to hire the right people for the next level of leadership, my own next level of reports, you know, are the C-level people, and then to inspire and motivate them so that they can go and do the same things to their next level, et cetera, right? And so that's how the culture flows down. But one thing I have done for the last maybe 8 years or so, I think, and it's really helped, is every single employee that we hire, usually we hire on a Monday, so our HR team sets up a meeting, they call it orientation with the CEO or something like that. But I have a not one-on-one, you know, team, but one on my side and whoever joined that week with them, where I get to know them. You know, I do a little bit of getting to know each other kind of thing, tell them a little bit about myself, not just professionally, as a person, as a family person, you know, I have daughters, etc. And then I have them share something about themselves. So I found that I really love it. It's my chance to see them on a video chat and to get to know them a little bit. But I've heard from many feedback from them that they also love it. And I also, one of the main things I focus on that meeting beyond the getting to know one another is the culture of the company, you know, like our core values, how important it is, so that from day one, they get inculcated with, you know, in this company, culture is important, these values are important, and I tell them how important customer service is because they pay our bills and stuff, you know. So anyway, so yeah, culture is a very big thing, and that's probably the most important thing I do within the company now, I think.
Thanks, Sarbari. So, like during COVID times, what had happened that people started doing products instead of customer service. That was the importance. So customer service had gone down. But with your insistence on customer service in your company, that is something one has to come back and make sure that other people take advantage of that they have to come back to a proper customer service. So I feel that what you are saying, that personalized customer service, personalized connection with the employees is important in your company. And that is one of the things that's the key part that has changed more through COVID also, but you have done it throughout. So my next question is for Gitanjali. Gitanjali, my question to you is, how technologies like IoT and AI are critical to solving climate change? And is it, what is required to enable innovation to solve climate change in time? So both IoT, AI, innovation.
Oh, thank you. So again, starting with my first answer, it's the clarity of purpose. The biggest problems we are facing today are not the shortage of cool technologies or innovative ideas. They're actually big, hairy, audacious problems like climate change or like the widening inequality. And you start looking at this and you realize that there are big problems we need to solve, and you need powerful tools to do it. To a large extent, doing things the same way is not going to get you the disruption to solve these kinds of problems. I mean, that was one of the things that sort of jumped out at me at COP28 is I said, oh my God, all these guys are going to keep doing the same things. But that means we're not going to exponentially decarbonize at the rate we need to. So who's going to solve this problem? And the conclusion I came to was there are only two sets of stakeholders that don't have incentive misalignment and are going to solve it. The first is, progressive small governments that have their back to the wall. And people are going to look at me and say, wait, government moving fast? But hey, you look at a country like Seychelles and you realize, oh my God, they're going to go under the water. So they are going to find ways of trying to solve it, right? They're most motivated. But the other group, and this is the interesting one, are really technology innovators. And we've seen this during COVID, right? When I thought, oh my God, we're all going to die, nobody's wearing masks. I mean, in New York, they had pulled ships into the harbor to keep corpses on, and it was horrible. And I thought, oh my God, this is the end of civilization. And suddenly, miraculously, this country out-innovated the world and solved the problem. I have a deep belief in the ability of technology innovators, when pointed in the right direction with the right purpose, of being able to get ahead of the curve. And that's what I see AI doing. And Amit Narayan and I founded ClimateAI because we looked at it when we said, there's a vast disconnect between the AI guys who just want to do cool algorithms, right? And the climate guys that want to basically sell a lot of virtue signaling about how we're all going to hell in a handbasket. But at the end of the day, we want to solve the problem. And the solution lies in marrying that. And what AI allows you to do, and things like IoT is great for measurement because you have to measure, you have to monitor, and you have to manage. That's how you change things.
Thank you.
Technologies like IoT allow you to measure. Technologies like AI allow you to basically manage and change it under the surface. And that's how it's going to happen.
Thank you. Thanks, Gitanjali. Very interesting. I hope we take note of it and the governments change, and you can help make that policy in there.
Hoping to, before we all cook.
Great. My next question, Surbhi, is to you. Your leadership role at Juniper centers around enhancing customer experiences, just like what Sarbari was saying, through the integration of Juniper's experience-first networking initiatives. And you are right now focused on emotional intelligence driving the execution of collaborative initiatives. Would you like to expand on that as to how it is through Gen AI, and all these experience-first, how are you progressing with the company culture change?
Thank you, Smita. First of all, I want to just acknowledge that I'm so glad Gitanjali is solving all the big problems. I'm not focused on those.
Yeah, you guys are making the money, but wait, we'll change that too.
I would love to see that change, but for now, I'm focused on getting my corporate leaders their goals of, business ROIs. But I love that somebody, and I hope we all in the coming future are looking at the bigger problems and the clarity of purpose that you talked about. But to go back to what we are doing at Juniper level or any B2B, I think there are two aspects that we can look at how we incorporate, whether it's Gen AI solutions or any kind of AI technology. One is within the product. So I'm a part of a product company, not a services company, but one is incorporating AI capabilities inside your products, which is a longer lead cycle, takes a long time. But the other is taking these capabilities of Gen AI across the various efficiencies internally, whether it's your marketing or customer success or support. Those are the areas where I'm seeing a lot of impact using generative AI, whether it's improved chatbots that are so much more intelligent than the previous versions, which are not predetermined trees, but intelligent engagement based on your knowledge. So when you come on my website, I can give you a very personalized experience that Smita has purchased these products, could be interested in something else. So that engagement is much more intelligent and personalized compared to what we have had in the past. Similarly, in customer support and success areas, we are seeing a lot of ability of building automation with generative AI to give customers the ability to self-serve. And this is something that the next generation does not want to pick up the phone and call if they need help. They want to be able to figure out, can I really resolve this issue myself? So those kind of efficiencies we are able to build very fast with this technology, and I hope every B2B company is thinking of how to do that, because that really impacts the bottom line and how we can save, save for the corporations.
Right, right. One of my clients, Cisco, is doing like low touch and no touch. But everybody's gearing towards no touch. So people have used WebEx, so that's like, so it's funny that you called that two different things. The chatbots as personalized low touch, even though chatbots are still calculating from data, and when customers are helping themselves, that's still no touch. Yes. So it's really, everybody's gearing towards no touch technology. Yes. Thanks, Surbhi, but that's very interesting. And Shilpi, and I'm saying the name right now. My question for you is that, one second, like in your corporate versus entrepreneurship journey that we talked about, how are you marrying that data that you talked about earlier? That data, leadership, technology, and how are you dealing with the millions of data that you get? How do you sift through it as to what is important and how does it help you to make decisions in your day-to-day corporate world? And, still you have to have purposeful data, right? So you basically, what you choose and what you select. So thanks.
Sure, yeah. So, at Yum Brands right now, if I just talk about only US, we have almost 120 million customers data. And just to give you context, just at Taco Bell, 40 million customers show up every week. And the more and more digital we are becoming, the more and more data we are collecting. That brings a lot of fun for people who are data engineers and data scientists, but that brings a lot of headache as well for governance, for policy, for consumer privacy folks, and leadership, because you don't need all the data that customer is giving to you to really build advanced analytics. And I think that education is very important in large organizations, that you should be, when should you collect data and why should you collect data? And then state the purpose when you're collecting the data, so that when you are building analytics on top of it, your analytics and the outcomes are aligned to the purpose that you stated to your customer. And that responsibility is very, very much to the leadership. And it's really hard because we have 156 countries. Every single country has their own e-commerce engine. They have their own mobile apps. They are deploying digital menu boards in drive-thrus. They have kiosks in the store. They do send emails, SMS, and push. And every single country has their own GDPR kind of policy or consumer policy going on. So making sure that, yes, you have data and customer is giving it to you. Do you really have to build products using all the data? And then one thing which I felt in last, I'll say 10 to 12 months with Gen AI, what our leadership is very much concerned about, that do we really have to jump to Gen AI before we have really leveraged what we have, right? You don't have to as a leadership. I think that's a one good thing I saw at YUM, that you don't have to run to every shiny new things that you see. Rather just see that, oh, you built a ton of data lakes. Are you still using that data, right? Do you really need new set of data? And are you ready for it? So that conversation that actually comes from the board and then gets down to the leadership. So for us, it's been more like, have we literally figured out everything with our data, what we have, and do we need Gen AI? And then before we go to Gen AI, make sure our customer is in the middle of every single data product we're building.
Thank you, thank you. And that's a very sensible answer, is to take slow and leverage what you have. So thank you, Surbhi, Shilpi. I think we should rename her. But I love Shilpi name. Thank you. So one question I have for all of you in general is, if you had to sum up the strategy for today in your words, what leaders need to be, or what kind of a leader you are, and how would you like to see companies adopt it? What would be your one phrase that you would say for leadership, starting with Gitanjali?
So you're going to hate me because I'm not going to start with the one phrase. I'm going to start by clarifying what is leadership. You know, the majority of us don't understand what's leadership. They used to teach me leadership in Harvard Business School, and they would have this matrix of power, which was title, budget, headcount, resources. And I told them, I said, you know what? My family comes from the land of Mahatma Gandhi. He didn't have a title. He didn't have a budget. He didn't have a reporting structure. He didn't have resources. In fact, by all accounts, he's failed your framework. But no one can deny the leadership of Mahatma Gandhi. And the point is, leadership is about changing the world for the better.
Okay, so your phrase is changing the world for the better.
And that requires clarity of purpose.
Got it. Clarity of purpose. Thank you. Sorry. Sarbari, yours.
So a phrase.
One phrase that you would sum up the leadership.
Okay, for me, that would be something like transparency and integrity. Going back to the word integrity again. I think people are always looking at the leader as the person on the white horse to give them direction. They want to know that the person has integrity. So I would go with that.
Thank you, thank you. So transparency and integrity. Shilpi, yours.
So I'm going to borrow what we have at YUM, which I really love, coming from startup and getting into such a large org. What I learned is a combination of smart, heart, and courage is what is going to take you to the next level of leadership. Because what we have seen is a lot of time we have two of those three, and we struggle at the third one. And that is where I feel that if you have achieved those three, I think you're going to be a good leader.
Surbhi, come on.
So I think you all have said things that I would like to say, so that's good. I don't have to repeat. I think one of the things I want to say to my leaders as well as myself is having a high EQ. Be resilient, be aware, be able to change, be flexible. So we all come from, IITs, and we learned a lot about having high IQ. But as we have grown into the industry, we have realized that EQ is equally, if not more important. So that's where I would want to nudge our leaders to think about how you can become more compassionate, more authentic, lead with a lot of transparency and a lot of love, actually. This was something I heard a PG&E CEO talk recently, which is a utilities company, completely dry, and she said, I lead with love. And I really appreciated that, to be able to own that, to be able to say that openly, that that's how I lead, treating my employees and my teams as my family, part of who I am. That's how I encourage all our leaders to think.
One phrase?
EQ and love.
EQ and love. Mine is data-driven decisions with empathy. I think that summarizes, right? Thank you all. And now we have some audience questions that we've gotten, and we would go with that. So, let me see. We have about 6 minutes left, and so one of the audience questions we have is, the ethical use of AI and Gen AI. So this is for anyone who would like to take it, is that with all the data that's coming in, how are people working with the ethical use of AI and Gen AI in the corporate world mostly? And how would you proceed? Anybody who would like to take this question?
I can take a first pass. I think in B2B, it's a little easier for me. I have been in B2C companies where it's all about attention economy, and I do worry about how data gets used there. In B2B space, it's a little easier because I use my customers' data to give them better insights, to help them manage whether it's their infrastructure or their products in a more efficient manner. So the ethics there is about how you ensure that the data of customer A and customer B does not get mingled, or customers' data the privacy is kept intact while you are building your solutions. In B2C, where I would love to hear from, more of, what Gitanjali was talking about, or in the services area, it is all about advertising. It's about, polarizing. It's about taking the data and understanding that we have of consumers and using it in a non-ethical way to get to some ends and goals and means that may not necessarily abide by those laws of ethics. So that's where I feel that we need to invest and rethink how we are doing things today. And if you've heard Tristan Harris's speech around this, I would encourage all of you to go listen to him about the pitfalls that he talks about on where Gen AI it has the ability to take us, which may not necessarily be a good or positive thing.
Thank you.
May I take a shot at this? Okay. So, it's kind of interesting. The first book that was printed was Gutenberg Bible, and then the next 100 ones that were printed were pornography. So that tells you how the human mind works, right? I think this is the fundamental problem that we face in business today, is that life is a multivariate equation, and we're trying to solve it with a univariant optimization around money, right? So we drive our decisions by IIR, right, and profitability on a very short-term basis. And this sort of comes back to the whole point I'm making about purpose. And when you are basically, and as an engineer, as an IIT engineer, you should understand that you cannot solve a multivariate equation with a univariate solution. So the way to handle the misuse of the printing press or guns or Gen AI for that matter is to actually have a system where you're valuing the right thing. And so you need that clarity of purpose. And once you have that, then you're optimizing for the right stuff.
Absolutely.
You're never going to change the power of a weapon, right? But if you put in place better systems for how human beings value what is important, and I come all the way back to my quote on Samuelson here, we're using a bad system right now, we got to do a better job of it, and optimize around all the variables that make our life today.
Purposeful, right. Thank you so much, Gitanjali. Shilpi, would you like to?
No, I think I'm good. I'm going to pass on this because I kind of touched upon it earlier.
Yes. The next question from the audience. Priyanka, do we have a chance for one more question? One more question? Okay. Rapid fire question. Is anything specific, Shilpi, to you that you would like to tell the audience about, from your experience, about leadership that you, if you had to say? So the audience question is, what would you tell to the entrepreneurs of today who are looking forward to selling their companies to selling their company to getting acquired to a big corporate? What would your advice be?
I'll tell you one thing. I don't think I ever planned that Yum Brands will acquire our company. They were just one of our clients. We actually got 2 or 3 offers from different large enterprises, and we picked Yum Brands because there was a lot of cultural alignment and the freedom they were giving us as a company, being part of the large org. But as an entrepreneur, that was my first entrepreneurship experience. But when I'm starting second time, I will certainly have an exit strategy planned day one. And I think that is very important because a lot of time, you don't want to take decisions on the fly. You actually want to build the roadmap to get to point B. Don't have just one exit plan. Have multiple exit plans, and make sure you set up your company the right way, in the right structure, right culture, so that you have certain outcomes which you can align and optimize for. So, which is, as a first-time founder, we never do that. We're like, we love what we are solving, and we are so much in, literally like a romance, we're in love with it, and we don't think about where we're going. And then we fail to recognize that when to exit from that particular idea when it is not working, and we are too far from the end goal, and I think we take decisions emotionally. So I'll say, just don't be emotional with your first love. Just have a plan.
Thank you, thank you. And I know, Sarbari, you are not selling your company soon. You're just happy running it, right?
No, it's been a long time. I need to sell my company. No, but absolutely, and regarding the exit plan, I mean, you can only plan so much, but I think reassessing your strategy and your exit plan every year, we do a strategic planning session every year. That's really important because, your circumstances change, company changes, your customer base changes, and so you really need to reevaluate on a regular basis, I guess,
right,
your strategy and your exit plan at some point. Yes, and I need to exit. That's true. But I've had such a lot of fun, starting from the basement of my house, and now we are, all over the country. I mean, it's been a wonderful journey, but every good journey has to have an end, and so that's what it's all about.
Thank you, thank you. And as someone who sold my company in 2001 and then 2015, sometimes it just comes as a surprise and you love it, but it was very different selling the company like 20 years ago compared to selling a company in this world. Now everybody weighs it, so be careful, be sure about that you're selling to the right person, you're getting acquired for the right reason, and then they'll take forward. Be sure about your clarity of purpose as to why you are selling it, and how you can leverage it. But thank you. Thanks very much to all the panelists. Thank you. If you guys could stay, I think Priyanka is. You guys have been a wonderful audience. We only got chance of 2 questions, but we got a lot more. So we'll all be here if somebody has any questions. We have corporate executives, entrepreneurs, and all of us can help you as you need it for leadership. Thank you.